Hello guys, my name is Faraz, and in our last video we were able to generate our application. We set up our GitHub account and we were able to push our code to our GitHub account. In this video we will be running this application for the very first time. We'll see if we encounter any errors. We'll also be installing the next step, that is to install RSpec and FactoryBot. So before we get started, let's go over to Pivotal Tracker and mark some of our jobs as we had completed them yesterday. So I'm currently in Pivotal Tracker. I'll go into my Rails with RSpec project. So we had successfully finished generating our application. So I'll just click finish. I'll click deliver and click accept. So the next thing in our list is installing RSpec and by extension FactoryBot. Alright, so let's begin. I'll quickly start Ubuntu. So I'm logged into my home directory. In order to run my application, I need to go into the application directory as well. So I'll cd into it. So I'll type cd/mnt/ the drive / the folder / the project. I'm in the project directory now. Now all I have to do is to start the application. And to start the application, all you need to do is type Rails S. Give it a few minutes as this is the first time it's starting. Alright, it started. So to see our application for the first time, all you need to do is go over to Chrome and you type localhost 3000. Alright, so we have got our very first error, guys. This is MySQL2 error and it is saying it cannot connect to MySQL server. So let's see what went wrong. We'll go back to Ubuntu. We'll exit out of the application, and as the error suggests, can't connect to MySQL server. So the very first thing I would see is if my MySQL server is running. So to check if MySQL is running, let me type sudo mysql, type in the password, and I'm getting the same error, like it cannot connect to MySQL server. So to resolve that, all we need to do is start our MySQL server. To do that, all you need to type is sudo service mysql start. Give it a few minutes. It has started. So if I type sudo mysql now, I'm logged into MySQL. I'll exit out of it and I'll restart my Rails application. Alright, now let's refresh this page. Alright, so our error has changed and it is showing that access denied for root at localhost. Now if you guys remember during the setup process, we had set up an MySQL user as Rails and we had set up its password as password. So presently our application doesn't know that, and in order to make our application aware, we need to open up our application code and mention it somewhere. It is mentioned in the config database.yml. So the username was Rails and the password was password. We'll quickly save it and let's restart our application once again. Alright, Rails S. Alright, let's refresh the page. Awesome. So that error has been resolved. Now we're getting a no database error. So in order for our application to work, it needs to have its own database. And by database, I don't mean the database software, the actual database where it will be storing its tables. So by the default Rails convention is to use the application name underscore development if you are in development mode and underscore test if you are in the testing mode. And finally in production, you guessed it, it's blog underscore production. So how do we generate this database? It's very simple. You don't even need to log into MySQL to do it. All you need to do is let Rails handle it. So you'll go over to Ubuntu, you'll exit out of this application, and you'll type Rails db create db. All right, let's not do the migrate part now. Let's just focus on the errors at hand. So I'll type Rails db create and press enter. All right, we see that we have created two databases, block development and block test. And if you go over to the code, these are the same databases that were generated from the database.yml using the development and the test. For production, we won't be focusing it on now. We'll take care of it later. So let's restart the application by typing Rails S. So our application has restarted and let's press refresh again. All right, so it's saying, yeah, you're on Rails. So congratulations if you have made it this far. You have successfully made your application run for the very first time. Now all that remains is setting up RSpec and by extension FactoryBot. That is our testing framework for our application. So let's begin. We'll quickly exit out of our application and we'll take a look at the RSpec first. So I'm logged into rubygems.org. Now this is a open source repository for all the Ruby gems. Now gems are like extensions, libraries that you use in your program to not reinvent the wheel per se. So I want to use RSpec as my testing framework as I had generated my application without one. So I'll quickly go over to the right side where I'll see gem file. I'll click copy to clipboard and I'll go over to my code. Now any gems that you want to install to your application, you need to mention it in your gem file. Now scroll down until you see group development test. So in this group you need to paste it and save it. The next thing I want to install is FactoryBot. Now FactoryBot is a gem that we use to generate test models. So whenever you're testing your application, you don't really want to have an actual user, an actual blog, or anything actual being saved in your database. You want it to be quick and you want it to be destroyed whenever you are done with it. So this is the gem that we use for it. So since we are working on Rails, we'll be selecting this option, gem FactoryBot Rails. Come, we'll copy it and we'll paste it again in the gem file in the group development and test. Guys, always make sure you're pasting it in development and test whenever you are working on the testing frameworks. We'll paste it here and we'll save it. Now, whenever you're modifying your gem file, now this is just a record that you did, but it's not yet present in your system. To install it, all you have to do is type bundle install. So our application is trying to connect to Ruby Gems, the same website I downloaded these from. And in a moment or two, our gems will be installed. Well, awesome. So now RSpec is installed. The next step is to configure RSpec. So to do that, we'll quickly go head over to the documentation part of RSpec and let's see what it says. So we have been forwarded to Relish and let's see. All right. If I recollect correctly, in order to install RSpec, all you need to type is Rails G RSpec :install. Awesome. So RSpec has been successfully installed. The next step is to configure FactoryBot. To configure FactoryBot, all you need to do is just copy these lines from the GitHub page of FactoryBot. All these links will be present in the description, guys, so don't worry. And they are asking it to paste it in spec support factorybot.rb. So first of all, let's see if this folder exists or not. So currently we don't have any support folder, so we'll go on and create it. The next thing we wanted to do is create another folder. What the name was? Oh, we don't need another folder, we just need to create the file. So I'll press escape and I'll create a new file, and it is supposed to be called as factory_pod.rb, and save it and paste our code here and save it. So once this is done, I think that's all that we need to do. Yes, I think that's all we have. Alright, if you have made it this far guys, congratulations. We'll go ahead and then I'll see you guys in the next video.